What's going on, guys? So, the other day, my 1997 F-150, otherwise known as the Green Bastard, started acting up pretty bad, and unfortunately, it's my only truck that I have right now. It's my main tow rig, my main parts runner. It's the only thing I have for moving my bikes around, so we're gonna have to figure out what's going on with it. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't stress out about it too much because it was only 650 bucks, but I still really care what's wrong with it. I absolutely need to figure it out. So, let's do some diagnostics. So the first step of diagnostics is, what is the vehicle doing? This particular scenario, it's really down on power. It's not idling very well, and it's backfiring pretty bad. So with backfiring, typically you're looking at a lean condition. So you're either not getting enough fuel or you're getting too much air. And so one of those is usually going to be caused by either an O2 sensor or a vacuum leak or a bad fuel injector. Since the engine fault codes were pretty much nothing of substance, we're going to go after the old-fashioned diagnostics route. And with this old truck, we're probably looking at more than one failure, but you don't want to overcomplicate things. So we're going to go after one particular symptom, and we're going to work from there. And since it's backfiring, we're going to assume lean condition, which means it's either getting too much air to a vacuum leak, or it's just not getting enough fuel due to possibly faulty fuel injectors or just not enough flow. And we're actually going to assume that the flow is pretty good, because one of the things I notice when it's not running well, if I just rev the hell out of the motor, it runs all right. So we're going to assume that it's getting enough fuel in general. So we're going to start towards the engine. We're not going to assume it's the fuel filter or the fuel pump. Eliminate those completely. So the way we're going to diagnose vacuum leak is with starter fluid. With these engines, it's really common for the intake manifold gasket to go bad. And so we're going to start there. We're going to spray it while the engine is running. We're going to spray starter fluid around the intake manifold gasket. And while we're at it, we're going to spray all around the whole engine. And we're going to try to find a vacuum leak. Unfortunately, while I was spraying the starter fluid around, I did not find a vacuum leak. And the way you would know if it was leaking is if the engine revs at all while you're spraying the fluid, and that's usually where your leak is. Didn't happen, so we're going to move to the fuel system from there. Testing the injectors, pretty simple process actually. There's only 2 terminals on the injectors when you pull the connector off, and you want to measure the resistance of the injectors. And all of them were pretty consistent, about 15 ohms. And so that's kind of leading me to believe that none of them are bad, because if one of them was reading different, then that was probably the bad one. But since they're all about the same, got to move on. It's probably not one of those. So we're going to move our way to the ignition system. Some of these are equipped with coil-on plugs, so each individual spark plug has its own coil. This is an older system, so there's 2 coil packs, each one of them with 4 spark plug wires coming out of it. So I think that math adds up if you do it. So what we want to do is we want to measure the resistance of each coil and compare that to what either the manual says or what Google says. I don't own a manual for this truck, so I just consulted Google, and it let me know that it's supposed to be about 1 to 1.5 ohms measured at the coil. Both of them check out, so really this is a super basic ignition system. All we really have left is either spark plug wires or spark plugs. So when I pulled the plugs, they looked terrible. They almost looked like they were original. This motor is 222,000 miles. And these looked like crap. Some of them, the electrode was burned all the way down to the insulator, so the gap was just nice and fat. It's not a surprise at all that this truck wasn't running well. I mean, the condition of these spark plugs is probably the worst I've ever seen. She's acting like she wants to run now. Oh yeah, that was literally the issue. Idling great, running right. Yeah. Oh, actually making power, oh my God. Running so much better. Now, truthfully, it's a little bit embarrassing that the whole issue was spark plugs, but with a project truck like this, I really didn't want to spend any money that I didn't have to. So once I got it going, it's really just oil changes, and that's all I plan on doing. So the fact that it was this simple of a repair, it was that inexpensive to keep it on the road, I'm really happy. And hopefully, after this, it's going to run real well for another year. Anyway, Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And thanks always for doing your part to help make this world a strange place. Oh, so much fucking better. Oh my God.